The next morning I get up and do a bit of maintenance on the Doctor before setting off to taste some of the local wine. On my little tour I find places to eat with magnificent views and a brewery that produces a tonic ale with orange and lemon peel, fresh coriander and ginger from a 100-year-old recipe. But the highlight of the day is a chance visit to a twilight market in Seven Hills, a local event where producers sell their wares, everything from fresh produce to cakes and relishes. It really represents to me what a vibrant community the Clare Valley is, colourful characters and delicious tastings. To find a place where people still have a connection to the earth and what it grows. It's really wonderful, and my only regret is I can't buy all these delicacies and take them with me, as many wouldn't survive saddlebag temperatures. The next morning I meet up with Gary and we head 43 kilometres northeast towards the historic mining town of Burra. Burra was one of Australia's first mining settlements, with the discovery of copper in 1845. At the time, it supplied 15% of the world's copper and was credited with keeping the fledgling South Australian colony financially afloat. What I found fascinating about the place was that most of the miners were Cornish. Can you imagine what hell it must have been for them? Moving from the green fields and coastal views of Cornwall to this barren, endless hell, to live in holes dug in the side of creeks to escape the searing heat, their huge moustaches, the fashion of the day, drooping in the constant swelter. We then went out of town a bit in search of Goyder's line. Goyder was a surveyor who was assigned the task of working out where the good earth ends and the desert begins. Goyder surmised that where the salt bush begins, so too does the start of the low rainfall country, unsuitable for planting crops. For me it's fascinating that only 50 kilometres away there are the rolling hills and vineyards of Clare, and yet out to the northern horizon there is nothing but flat earth, the mythical outback. We head back past Clare to visit Martindale Hall, a lavish 32-room Georgian-style mansion, modelled on an English country estate. It was built in 1880 by Edmund Bowman from a princely inheritance. Specialist tradesmen were brought over from England to complete the handcrafted black and white marble fireplaces and the ornate black wood and oak hand-carved staircase. But by 1891, 11 years later, poor Edmund had blown all his cash. Australia was a different beast from the mother country, and drought and a downturn in the wool prices ended his dream of becoming one of the landed gentry. I ride on towards Port Pirie. I'm enjoying the riding. I find it quite relaxing, like a meditation. When you get out on these roads where the scenery is beautiful, it is a really nice sensation to just be passing through the country. Thoughts arise and fall, memories recalled, a dreamlike state. You get into a kind of flow, man and bike, moving as one. Port Pirie is an industrial smelter town. As an outsider, I notice a lot of for sale and for lease signs, but from what the Port Redevelopment Marketing says, Port Pirie is on the rise. I drop into a local cafe in a building that was once a church. I get talking to the owner, Saeed, an Iranian who came to Australia as an illegal asylum seeker on a crowded fishing boat. He spent 27 months in detention centres, but was lucky to have a local family take him under their wing and offer him work as a dishwasher. He married a local woman, had kids, and was offered the finance by his father-in-law to convert the old church into a cafe. He now employs 22 people and has just won South Australian Regional Barista for the 3rd year running. A great story and an interesting insight into Australia's changing demographics. Around 7 million out of the 24 million of Australia's population were born overseas. This equates to roughly 30%. Compare that with the USA, which has 13%, the UK 12%, and Germany 8%. In Sydney, a phenomenal 42% of the population were born overseas. I find a camp on an empty salt lake just out of town. As the sun sets, it lights up the sky with a myriad of colours. To look out to the west, there is nothing but flat horizon as far as the eye can see. Then came the mosquitoes, hundreds of them. I must have been the only human for kilometres. The sound is like nothing I've ever heard, an angry, insistent buzz. The next morning I go about taking my tent down with my helmet and gloves on. It is the only way to avoid the swarming hordes. Due to my haste, I forget I'm on a soft surface and have my bike stand sink fully into the sand as I'm loading it. Oh great, hordes of mosquitoes, my bike on its side and the hot sun slowly rising. Hopefully the sun will vanquish these evil vampiric bloodsuckers. I try to lift my bike a couple of times, removing as much gear as I can, the stand acting like an anchor, making things harder. I take off my helmet, gloves and jacket. I swallow a mosquito, then suck one up my left nostril. I buckle over and retch up the annoying critters. Oh God, they are like a black angry cloud fighting over my bare flesh. I have to do this. There is no one to help. With all my might, mosquitoes viciously circling my head and attacking my face and neck, I manage to get to my knees and put all my weight into lifting the beast. A little sweaty, I take off, vowing never to camp on a salt pan again, regardless of how beautiful its unbroken horizons make the sunsets.